All right. Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunna Bihari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunna Bihari Sodanandana Brajajana Anjana Unatera Panachalute Yamonatera Panachalute Jaya Madhuva Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paragatacharya. All Satteta Sitashi Shima, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sridas Thakur Ki Jai. Friends, say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Rabo Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Vakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopika Gadadha Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai, Machuridam Ki Jai, Jagadasami Ki Jai, Yuvanamari Ki Jai, Shimali Glasidevi Ki Jai, Sabhaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bol. All glories, some devotees, all glories, some devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimani Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavani Paschachati Jatarni. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, second canto, seventh chapter, text 16. It's 2.7.16 for those who have devices. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shrutva Haris Tam Aranartinham Aprameyash Chakrayuda Patagaraja Bhujadiruda Chakrena Nakra Vadanam Vinipacha Tasmad Daste Prakriya Bhagavan Kripayo Jahara. Shrutvarishtam Aranartinam Aprameyas Tam Aranartinam Aprameyas Chakra Yudapatagragaraja Bhujadiruda Chakrena Nakra Vadanam Vinipachatasmad Goste Prakriya Bhagavan Kripaya Jakara. Alright, I'll go slow. No, wait. Can't we do it 3 times? So I'm going to go slower for you. Rudvaristam Aranartinam Aprameyas Aprameyas Chakra Bhujadiruddha Viruja Chakrena Nakravadanam Vinipachatasmad Doste Prakriya Bhagavan Kripayo Johora Shrutvaristam Aranartinam Aprameyash Chakra Yudapataka Pujadiruddha Chakrena Nakravadanam Vinipachatasmad Doste Prakriya Bhagavan Kripayo Johara Okay. Ladies? Okay. Shrutva. By hearing. Buddhi. The personality of Godhead. Tam. Him. Arana Arjanam. One who is in need of help. Aprameya. The unlimitedly powerful Lord. Chakra, wheel. Ayuda, equipped with his weapon. Apataja Raja, the king of the birds, Garuda. Abhuja Aniruddha, being seated on the wings of. Chakrena, by the wheel. Nakravadanam, the mouth of the crocodile. Vinipacha, cutting in two. Tasmat, from the mouth of the crocodile. Haste, in the hands. Prakritya, taking hold of the trunk. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Kripaya, out of causeless mercy. Ujjahara, delivered him. So, translation. Of course, this is the same incarnation of the Lord. The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda. Fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel chakra. With the wheel, he cut to pieces the mouth of the crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk. So static. So purport, by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prabhupada. The Lord resides in his Vaikuntha planet. No one can estimate how far away this planet is situated. It is said, however, that anyone trying to reach that planet by airships or by mine ships, traveling for millions of years, will find it still unknown. Modern scientists have invented airships, which are material, and the yogis make a still finer material attempt to travel by mine ships. The yogis can reach any distant place very quickly with the help of mine ships. But neither the airship nor the mine ship has access to the kingdom of God in the Vaikuntha Loka, situated far beyond the material sky. Since this is the situation, how was it possible for the prayers of the elephant to be heard from such an unlimitedly distant place? And how could the Lord at once appear on the spot? These things cannot be calculated by human imagination. All this was possible by the unlimited power of the Lord, and therefore the Lord is described here as Aprameya. For not even the best human brain can estimate his powers and potencies by mathematical calculation. The Lord can hear from such a distant place. He can eat from there, and he can appear simultaneously in all places at a moment's notice. Such is the omnipotency of the Lord. So again, that verse. Avinartinam Pramehas Chakradudapatakaraja Ujadiruda Chakrena Nakravadanam Minipachatasma Doste Prapriya Bhagavan Vipayo Jahara. So Meganatimilandasha Gananjana Svakaya Chakshur Urmilitam Yena Padmai Shri Gurave Maha. So the elephant was previously King Indraduna. We told the story already about that. He was observing etiquette in his address to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you first pray to the Lord, the first thing you do is got to glorify Him. And the elephant also exhibited, or King Indraduna, as the case may be, he also exhibited his particular approach to the Lord in terms of his mood of surrender. Because in the previous verse, we find the elephant is referring to the Lord in 5 different ways. And the final way is actually referred to in this particular verse, which we read today. I'm going to read the ways. The first way is Akila Loka Nath. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's the same thing as Jagannath. It means Lord of the universe. So it's a very awed and reverent way to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, isn't it? Very much awed and reverent. Second one is Tirtha Shava, that the Lord is famous, or is heard, as the place of pilgrimage. And of course, wherever the Lord resides is a place of pilgrimage. Wherever a pure devotee resides is a place of pilgrimage, because a pure devotee brings the presence of the Lord with him. So also very awe and reverent. Next one is Shravana Mangala Namadeya, that your name, and this is really important, is auspicious and something that is worth, or people are encouraged to chant. And then the final one, which is actually what Prabhupada refers to in this particular verse. It's interesting how Prabhupada goes in his purport to the previous verse, referring to the final way that Gajendra glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is Prameya, or Aprameya, as the case may be. That means someone who is not comprehensible. So, like Prabhupada talks about here, one can travel at the speed of the mind, which the yogis do, and you cannot reach the end of the universe. Brahma Samhita also talks about that. So, what that means is that you can speculate for millions and millions and millions of years, and you'll never understand the nature of the absolute truth. Now, we see in many different religions there are these people called theologians. I don't know what theologian. Theologian means basically those who study religion. And when they study religion, they try to understand what's the nature of God. Because all of us are in ignorance. According to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we have 3 types of ignorance. Does anyone know what the 3 types of ignorance are? Okay. So the 3 types of ignorance are knowledge about the Lord, okay? Knowledge about, not me, it's Shiva's soul, and knowledge about the Lord's energies, and what? All the interactions between those different points. And that, of course, technically in Sanskrit is called what? Sambandha. Like you have the 3 aspects of devotional service, everybody knows. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. So it's stated by the Acharyas, particularly Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that without understanding those three things, one remains, that's our ignorance. One remains in ignorance. You understand? If you don't know the relationship between those three things, not only the ontology means what those three things are, but the relationship between them, then you're in ignorance. So we find in our Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, of course, the literatures which Srila Prabhupada so kindly has given us, and the sages, Srila Vyasadeva so kindly given us, information about this. Sambandha, what is Sambandha? Vishnu Shakti Para Prapya Chaitya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samgyanya Tritiya Shakti Ishite. Now, for those of you who don't understand Sanskrit, which is probably most of you, that the Lord, there's the Lord, and he's Akila Nath. He's actually the Lord of everything, referring back to the words that were used here. And he has these energies. This is also Sambandha. And his energies are threefold. Tritiya Shakti Ishite. His energies are Kara Prakriti, the spiritual energies of the Lord. That is headed up by Srimati Radharani. The material energies of the Lord, it's called, in this particular verse from the Vishnu Purana, avidya karma, the ignorant energy, ignorant activity energy. Avidya karma samganya tritiya, and then Vishnu Shakti Parabhra, Kshetra Gyatya. Then you have the Kshetra, which is actually described in Bhagavad Gita quite extensively. That's us, the knower of the body, who is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, therefore, what is the interaction between these? According to the Acharyas, the Jiva soul, the marginal energy of the Lord, leaves the association of the Supreme Personality of God because the Jiva soul is small. And he comes into association of this material energy. So, that's basically, but his constitutional position is eternally a servant of Krishna. Constitutional position is interesting. It means that it's always there, except the living entity has forgotten it. You understand? Constitutional means it's always there. It's a part of your constitution. Right? And you've forgotten it. And of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Chaitanya Charitamrita, states this very clearly. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sajakota Noi, Shravanadi, Shudachite, Kori Udoy. And that's Bengali. What does that mean? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. That, of course, usually we hear the words Nityasiddha in reference to what? A Nityasiddha, pure devotee of the Lord. But Nityasiddha Krishna Prem Saja Koronoi. What that means is that the living entity is Nityasiddha. I don't feel like I'm Nityasiddha. Trying to be Sadhana Siddha, or at least Kripa Siddha. You have different siddha. Siddha means perfect. So sadhana siddha means you become perfect by chanting nicely, waking up early for Mangalarti. Yeah, Mangalarti. Yeah. You heard about that. And even if one's in one's home, you still have Mangalartis. Actually, I was talking to Jivanath yesterday. He said, well, you come to Mangalarti every day. I'm actually famous for that. Well, even I was in, where was I? Oh yeah, I was at GBC meeting, and my godbrother Kalabhanta, nice guy, he's a guru also, and he came up to me and said, oh, you're famous, you go to Mangalarti every day. Why? Because I'm scared of Maya. When you're scared, like here we have Gajendra. He's scared. Maybe not of illusion, but he's scared of getting himself killed. So I'm also in a similar situation to Gajendra. I'm scared. If I don't go to Mangalarti, Maya will come. You know, and Maya may not come just like such a obvious form. And, you know, sometimes people think, oh, Maya just comes as what Maya babies. But there's other ways that Maya comes too. So therefore, you know, sadhana. Sadhana is very important. Anyway, so in Nitya Siddha, Krishna prayed, Saja Koto Nai. We are Nitya Siddha. It's not something you obtain. It's not a saja. Saja means something you get. You know, we also say the saja of Krishna consciousness is what? Krishna praying. Sadhana means the practice. Saja means the goal. But actually, Nitya Siddha Krishna praying. Saja Koto Noi. It's not something you get. You have already. You have Krishna praying. It's simply what? Has to be awakened by what? Shravanadi, Shuddhachitte, Korai, Udoy. By hearing, and what? Not just hearing or listening, but Satam Sangam Mama Virya Samdado Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Pata Joshandrasu Apavargavartmane. Taking whatever you're hearing to your heart and applying it as jnana vijnana. You know, you hear so much. Like I was talking about Mangalarti, okay? Guru Maharaj said about Mangalarti. But I'm tired. You know, so anyway, so it's the business of all of us, at least those who are older devotees, set the example. Yeah, especially if someone's a sannyasi. You're living in the temple. Set an example. So anyway, Shravanadi Shuddhachitte. If one hears nicely, practices nicely according to one's hearing, then Shuddhachitte, the pure consciousness. Chitte means consciousness, mind sometimes, depending on the context. With the pure mind, pure consciousness, Koriye Doi, you get it. You manifest itself. And that's all that we have to do. And of course, that means, like according to the acharyas, going through the different processes of chanting properly. Yesterday I was just reading Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Harinam Chintamani. That's what's inspired me to give this class. And he talks very nicely, or writes very nicely, about how to progress through the different stages of devotional service in your chanting. And of course preliminarily, then there's the offenses to avoid, obviously. And we talked about previously, there's the service of the Vaishnavas, but Vaishnava Seva now, and also Jiva Doi, which helps in the chanting. But he actually gets very specific as far as the different stages in chanting, or even realizing one's spiritual identity. I mean, the book deals with a lot of esoteric things too, realizing your spiritual identity, because that's actually what we're trying to do by chanting. I mean, at least I'm not praying when I'm chanting, Krishna, kill my enemies. I don't have anyone attacking me. Although, whenever I'm put in a difficult situation, I do pray like that. I never had a crocodile attack me, but I did have a kidney stone attack me. So, Krishna, Of course, Krishna did not appear on the back of Garuda to save me and cut the kidney stone out. I had to go to a regular doctor for that one. But that was also from Krishna. Anyway, so it's interesting that Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about the higher stages of chanting in this Harinam Chintamani book. Now, first of all, of course, you avoid the offenses, you serve the Vaishnavas, and he's very specific about not eating food cooked by people who are wicked, which means people not Krishna conscious, because the mind becomes contaminated. So anyway, so let's say one reaches a little higher stage in devotional service, and then he gives all these different stages that occur later on. That is when this is interesting. I just thought I would, not that any of us are on this particular platform, because these are the stages when one realizes or comes to realize one's eternal relationship. I'm saying realize it. Your spiritual body is already there. It's not that you get a spiritual body, although sometimes it's stated like that. You have a spiritual body. You just don't recognize it. You understand? It's not that you go to the spiritual world and you go to the spiritual body store. And you say, I like that, it's on that hanger. Can I try that one on? You're non-different from your spiritual body. So anyway, here's something that's very little bit esoteric for us. But he says when one becomes to the platform of Raganuga, in the beginning we are on the platform of Vaidhi Sadhana, then we come, after we've gotten rid of the anarthas, Ado, Shradakata, Sadhusangota, Vaishnatraya, Anartha, Nivritti, Shad, then we come Nishta, and then Ruchi. That means, I guess I should explain in English. In the beginning, we have some preliminary faith. Then we begin to associate with the devotees. Then we begin to perform bhajan. Then we start to get rid of the anarthas, and we become steady in devotional service. Then we get a taste, ruchi. Then we come to the stage of ashakti, which is, being detached from the material world. And then after that, we start to get the other stages like bhava. Bhava means the emotions, different emotions. I wish I had time to talk about it all. Like sthaya bhava, anubhava, satvika bhava, vyabhacharya bhava, and so so all these different emotions, and then after that you come to prema. And so when one has progressed, not quite to prema, but gotten rid of their anarthas, then they can start to think about their spiritual identities. I'm not saying this is what you should all do, but just a little coming attraction Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives. He says in the beginning, not in the beginning, but when one comes to that particular stage, one explains, the guru goes to one, or one goes to the guru, and there's this stage called Shravana. Of course, that means hearing. That means when the guru explains, basically, I don't want to get back in Kalashi Baba on this one. But anyway, the guru explains what it means to have a spiritual body, what you do in the spiritual body, the very theoretical stuff. And then the guru talks to one and tries to ascertain through discussions. If the guru ascertains that one is on a high enough platform to understand these things, the guru tries to understand along with the disciple what is one's spiritual identity in the spiritual world. Because it's natural, it's a constituent part, a constitutional part of the self. And that's That's called Varana. It's actually Dr. Bill, I didn't make this up. And the next stage is called Smarana, which one tries to make the mind conscious of who you are in the spiritual world and everything connected with that. But the mind is wandering. Even at a very high stage, even then the mind is wandering from one thing to another. Basically one's in the stage of Baba at this particular point. Mind is wandering. And the next stage Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about is dharana, when one's practice of the meditation becomes more and more steady. The next stage after that, part of dharana, okay, actually I got this a little wrong. So smarana encompasses dharana, steady practice, jhana meditation, anusmriti, which means steadiness or continual meditation, and also samadhi, which is the perfection of the focus on one's spiritual body. And then the next stage is called apana. I know this is very sophisticated Bhagavatam class. The next stage is apana, which means one realizes everything connected with one's swarup, eternal form. And next stage after that is called sampati. In that case, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead and interacts with the Lord depending on what his or her relationship is with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all these stages can be reached through Vaidhi, which ultimately culminates in spontaneity. But first, we have to execute our Vaidhi process, rules and regulations, very strictly, and even when one comes to a higher platform, one still executes, even though one's not controlled by the rules and regulations, one still executes the rules and regulations very strictly. One still comes up for Mangalarti or wakes up for Mangalarti, but to set an example for others. So there's never a stage in devotional service where one neglects the aspects of sadhana. You understand? Very important for us. In other words, no one should think, you're going to leave this class with any takeaway. No one should think that I am too advanced to manifest, perform strict sadhana. You're never too advanced. This is a very important point. And this is what we can learn from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teaching and the Harinam Chintamani, that even if you do come to those higher stages, even if you have realized your eternal relationship with Krishna, even if you are seeing Radha and Krishna, you should be like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, whose sadhana was like lines on a stone. Cannot be changed. Whoever you are, whether you're living at home, have a Mangalarti at home. Right? If you're living in a temple, obviously, come to Mangalarti. People have so many excuses, isn't it? So many excuses. I mean, I've seen sometimes people come, they visit the temple and say, well, it's going to take, after 2 months, they say it's going to take me a while to adjust my schedule. Bunch of bogus nonsense. If you really want to be Krishna conscious, that's the process you follow. And again, you should be afraid of Maya. Prabhupada said, when the devotees asked him, what are you praying for? And Prabhupada said, I'm praying for Krishna to protect me from Maya. Mama Maya Dharachya. So, any questions or comments?
What happens to the subtle body when
it gets dissolved, like acid. That's the description. Devotional service dissolves the subtle body. And of course, that doesn't mean, of course, we know that subtle body is what? Mind, intelligence, and ego. Gross body, of course, we know is dissolved. That's easy. Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire. I mean, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's burnt, dissolved, food for worms. But the subtle body, okay, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So when they think, oh, my mind gets dissolved, my intelligence gets dissolved, what's going to happen? Well, the subtle body is covering the actual mind, like we talked about. The actual mind and intelligence, the spiritual mind and intelligence is already there. It's like a covering, like the gross body, like Prabhupada said. Like you have a glove you put on your hand, right? The glove. It has 5 fingers. Most of us? 5 fingers? Am I right? Anyway, just keeping you awake. The glove has 5 fingers. Why? Because the hand has 5 fingers. Right? It's obvious. So we have we have material intelligence and we have material mind because it's covering the actual mind. If we didn't have an actual mind, how could we have a material mind? You understand the logic? It's covering. So you take away the covering, you dissolve the subtle body, and then you get Shuddha Habe Mana. You get what? Purified mind. And Shuddha Buddhi. Then you get pure intelligence. You see that the problem. He had spiritual mind. Of course, you know, we have that statement which I just quoted. Kabihana he Rabo Sri Vrindavana. That Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Habe Mana. When I get rid of all the Vishaya, then Shuddha Habe Mana, I'll get the purified mind. And then Kabihana he Rabo Sri Vrindavana. Then Vrindavan becomes manifest. That's clear. Narottam Das Thakur. Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Habe Mana Kabihana he Rabo Sri Vrindavana. So that's it. In your mind, manifest Vrindavan. Your intelligence manifests Vrindavan. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to dissolve the subtle body. But you can't dissolve it by the body process of just trying to get rid of it. You can't dissolve the false ego by trying to get rid of it. You dissolve the false ego by concentrating on what your real ego is. You dissolve the mind, the material mind, by concentrating on Krishna. Savai Mana. Krishna Tadava Vindaya. Like Ambrish Maharaj did. So, yeah, it dissolves it. That's what happens in subtle body. You don't get to take it with you to the spiritual world. Because that subtle body is the body of conceptions. You take it with you to the spiritual world, you're going to be thinking, I'm Rupa Nuga. Well, you are Rupa Nuga. Follow Rupa Goswami. You go back to the spiritual world. Does anyone need a doctor here? Yeah. What are you going to do with that subtle body? The conception of I am mine. Not subtle mind, I'm sorry. Subtle mind. Yes, that actually Prabhupada specifically states the bhakti dissolves. Actually, Bhagavatam says the bhakti dissolves the subtle body. Any other questions? Yeah.
When Maharaj is here in Fiji, I've seen plenty of devotees coming from morning class. When Maharaj goes away, few devotees. Why is that?
Because I'm not afraid of Maya. That's why. They're in Maya, so why are they afraid of it? And they like Maya. You understand? They don't understand that Maya, Durga, is Adhyatmikari Bodhikari Daivik. She has a trident. And she makes you're like a donkey, not you, but you know the proverbial donkey, you put a carrot in front of them, you've heard of that before? To get the ass to move, you put something in front of it. Or like Prabhupada said, the ass is working like an ass. In India, you really see what that means. You've got these asses, you know, they're donkeys, it's not bad work. And they're loaded up with so much on their back. Practically it's as high as the ceiling. I'm exaggerating. Isn't it high as the ceiling? And you're seeing all this stuff moving through the street and trying to understand how is it moving. And then you see little legs underneath. And then Prabhupada says that then the owner feeds him a little grass at night. And then at night, he goes to his she-ass. You know, Prabhupada talks about this. And what does she do? Gives him a kiss? No. Kicks him in the face. And he thinks, this is love. So we're in a situation like that. We get kicked in the face. We're chewing the chewed. Like, how many times have we eaten? And has ever, prasada is great, but ever given us permanent satisfaction of the belly? No, then we get hungry again. We get tired again. Every day is like that. It's like a roller coaster. So, and they don't want, if they actually want to be Krishna, if you really want something, if you want to make money, you get up early in the morning and do your work and do your business or whatever. You don't show up at work I guess in Fiji you do. But in other places, I remember my father, he showed up, he was a businessman, he showed up at business at 3 o'clock in the morning because he wanted to make money. So we have to question ourselves, what do we want? Do we want to take repeated birth and death in this material world? Do we want to be born again and go through all the misery of having the parents chastise, especially in Fiji? Parents yell at us, spank us. Do you want to go through that? No? Don't see? Yes? No? Yes?
Repeat the question.
Oh, you didn't hear the question. Do you want to go through repeated death, be chastised by your parents?
The God said one lifetime.
No, I'm not asking you what Prabhupada said. I already know what he said. I'm asking you, do you want it? Do you really want it? Yes, no? He doesn't understand the question. That's the question each and every one of us has to ask. Do I really want it? I mentioned yesterday I read the Harinam Kirtanam, the whole thing. And it really increased my desire to want it. Why am I not chanting purely? Why am I not hearing my rounds properly? Why am I not connecting to Krishna? Why am I not understanding my relation? Do you want that, Vamsi? Yes, no. No, he said no. You don't want it. I want it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, everyone, raise your hand if you want that Krishna consciousness. Do you mean it? All right. I want it like anything. This is volume. That's the price for Krishna consciousness. Intense longing. I want it, I want it, I want it, like Gajendra. Save me, save me, save me. I want it, like anything. And when you chant japa, that's what you should be thinking. When it's time for Mangalarti, that's what you should be thinking. Not, let me get my rounds done so I can get on with my real business. Eating. Okay, on that happy note, thank you. Oh, where's this? Srila Prabhupada.